Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is the fifth video in the series. We've been talking about VueJS integration with Ionic Framework. If there's something else you'd like to see, please make sure you leave a comment below and make sure you like and subscribe. I've noticed that the bulk of folks checking out my content currently aren't subscribers, so please do me a favor, click the link and subscribe. Okay, let's hop into the code right now. So we're going to pick up where we left off last time, except this time around what we're going to do is we are going to use a composition API and extract our whole data integration outside of the home view and put it in its own separate component. You'll see after I'm done here how I implement the composition API, why people don't think you need vuex anymore. So first we're going to start out by taking our whole state object, which is a map of items, and move it over to the data store. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our composition function, and it's going to be a default export. And inside of here is where we're going to create all of the functions that are going to manage this list object. I'm going to take a shortcut and I'm just going to add them directly to the return statement instead of creating the functions and then adding them to the return statement. Do like we did last time around, we'll put the comments in so we can separate the properties from the actual functions, and now let's start writing the functions. So first we have our delete item function. We're really just pulling the code from Home.vue, so you can check that out if you weren't familiar. And all we do, since we have a map, it's real nice and easy. We just get the map. We call the remove item, I believe, or the delete. Sorry, we call the delete method on it, and we pass it the key, and it's gone. Way easier than dealing with lists. I definitely love using a map. The next one is this add or update. With a map, you do a set to add or insert an object. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get passed in data, and we'll have an optional string ID. And if the string is there, we'll use it to set it. If the ID is there, we'll use it. If there's no ID, then we'll generate the ID and we'll set the data once again. So I consolidated the add and update all into one function. So you can see we called the set on the list object. Let me create the ID here first. So we'll use this operator here where we'll create this underscore ID variable. If ID is empty, or the new date get time, which is a number, then convert it to a string, and we'll set that to be the ID. So we get that, and then, as I said before, let's just leave a couple of comments so that when we hop back in here, we know what's going on. As I said, if I have an ID, use it. Otherwise, create one. Next. So now let's identify the ID, which is the first parameter, or the key, as they call it. And then we'll just take the item data that got passed in, and that's what we will assign to my object. And we're going to, there you go. We get all the we destructure it, and we get all the item data, and we push that in, and then we get the ID, and we set the ID. All right, now let's get back over to Home View, and let's import my store. As you can see, that was way simpler than vuex. I'm kind of torn. There's some value I believe you get out of vuex, but I just wanted to show you this example. Maybe for the next one, I'll do the same thing and use vuex. If that's something you'd like to see, make sure you leave a comment. Okay, so now we're going to use the function that we created in DataStore. We're going to just structure it and kind of pull out the properties and the functions that we need. So we definitely need the list data because that's what we're going to use to render. You can see there we're still using it with our computed function to convert it. But let's just start deleting stuff. So I can take the handle delete and I can use my delete function. So we replace the code we had there before, and we just call delete and we pass in the item, and that's done. Nice and clean, separation of concerns, managing the data in a separate file. Next we'll go down to where we update an item. We'll use our add or update function. Add or update. I think that's right. Yep, let's add it up here. And then we come down here to the bottom, and for this one, we just pass the, here we have an ID, so we're going to pass both the data and the ID in. Let's clean up this old code, we don't need it. And now let's move into where we just want to save the data. We copy the add or update over, remove the unnecessary stuff. And of course here you don't have an ID, so you remove that optional parameter so that the function knows to actually create the ID for you. So now that is all straight. Let's test this out, see what we got. Bum, bum, bum. I hate testing this. You're just typing all this foolishness and it doesn't matter. So let's see. It's saving as we wanted it to. It's deleting as we wanted it to. Let's try an object that I want to update. update me please, please. Reset the description, save the data, and update worked correctly. So we got what we wanted here. Alrighty, let's do a little something different now and try out this new alert function. If you noticed before, I was using a normal browser alert, but let's integrate an Ionic component to get a nice clean alert when some action's done, and just also show you how to use the alert component inside your application. Similar to the modal, I prefer to not use the controller object. I think it's just cleaner to put the code into the template and then use setting the state variables or reactive variables to hide or show it. Well, I'm using a similar model as I did with the modal also, where I'm creating one reactive element that has all the information that I need to hide and to show the alert. And so I'm calling that reactive variable alert, and so on that reactive variable alert, I need a isOpen, which I'll set to true or false to hide or show the alert. And then what I'm going to do is the header, the subheader, and the message will also be properties on this reactive alert object. So then I can just have one function that can set those variables, and it will control the hiding of the showing of the alert, and it will also include all the necessary data. I just need one button, which is an OK button, and so I won't put that in the code. I'll just put it right here in the template. And then on did dismiss, I want to basically clear that reactive object. So let's go down to the script section here, and let's create this new alert reactive object. No, we're going to start with creating the functions. My bad. So what as I set up in the code above here, we're going to set the alert. And that will set the reactive variable, and then we are going to clear the alert, which will clear the reactive variable. So let's set clear, everything cleaned up. Now let's create this constant now. So we are going to call this alert. It is a reactive variable, reactive property variable. I get confused, but you know what I mean. And now in here we're just going to copy this to help me save some typing. And this is where we're going to set all the properties, and we're going to start with the isOpen. And I'm just initializing it, initializing the values. That isOpen should be false. Yes, we know an open is false. What you'll see that's cool is that by initializing these values here, when it kind of will give me some IntelliSense later when I need to use it, which is always helpful for me to minimize my scrolling around. We're going to initialize all these to blank. We don't want the hyphen in there. We'll use the camel case. So all those are blank, and then of course we'll initialize the message to blank. I'm doing this, as I said, more for the IntelliSense and also to make the code kind of self-commenting. All right, so then now here inside of set alert, clearly when you want to set an alert, you want to show it. So we need to set isOpen to true. We're going to do an object assign to kind of move all these new values into my alert object. All right, so as I said, we have isOpen set to true. The header, subheader, and message need to be defined, and what I'm going to do is those will be parameters. So theoretically, in a larger application, you'd want to reuse this function. So the way I'm setting it up is you can call set alert and define what you want the subheader and the message to be. We're going to keep the header a simple modal app because that's the name of the app. So that should be the header, and then the subheader and message will provide a level of specificity regarding the alert that we're displaying. And what we want to do in the bottom here is we're going to expose the function set alert and clear alert. But as I think about it, do I really need, I don't need to expose set alert because I'm only using it inside of the script. So we'll just set it after you add or update an item. So we're going to, well, I'm saying add or update because that's the function. So we're going to set it after you update an item. And we'll use a little bit of string interpolation to give you a nice little update item and specify the ID of the object that is being updated. So that's what we have here. And then if you want to just save the data, we'll copy and paste this. We don't have an ID yet, so we'll just change the text to say the subheader, something to the effect of adding an item. Does that make sense? Yeah. Let's change it to something like that. So add item, and then we clearly remove the string interpolation and just say item added successfully. And let's change these backticks. I think what they're called, they're just normal quotes. And format it, format it, semicolon. format, and let's see what we get. Oh, we have an error. Clear alert is assigned to value but never used. All right. Hey, I didn't write the code to clear alert. So let's get this object again, because that's what we want to do. On clear alert, we're just going to clear all the fields out of that guy. So all I really do at the top is set the true to false and clear the header. I really don't need to clear the header, but let's just stay consistent. And then now let's return the clear function because we need to use the clear alert. Why am I putting that alert property down there? Oh, because I need it exposed to the top. Also, I noticed a bug there that we didn't have the button set properly, so I just pulled out some of that code when I was chasing it. We need to set the button that way because it's being interpreted as we're binding the value. It's an array object. But that's it. We have our OK and our button. We're adding, we're updating, we're deleting. Everything's back to normal, and we have a nice little alert to go along with it. Thank you for checking everything out. We still have a few more videos left in the series. If there's something interesting you would like to see, please make sure you leave a comment below. Once again, please like and subscribe to the channel. And that's it.